My parents didn't just favor my sister. They stole my future and handed it to her like a gift-wrapped present. They drained my entire college fund to send Lauren to a fancy private school, while I was left working 2 dead-end jobs just to survive. Then, years later, they had the audacity to expect me to be her maid of honor. That was the moment I stopped being the family doormat and started plotting the kind of revenge they'd never see coming. If you've ever been overlooked, mistreated, or flat out betrayed by the people who were supposed to love you most, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because what starts as heartbreak is about to turn into the most satisfying revenge you've ever heard. Hi, my name is Julia, and this is the story of how my life was destroyed, and how I destroyed them right back. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. My family wasn't rich, but we were comfortable, or at least, that's what I thought when I was younger. My parents, Carol and Thomas, worked hard to give us a decent life. I was the older sister by 2 years, and my little sister Lauren was, well, she was the golden child. From the moment she was born, it felt like the sun rose and set with her. She was the baby everyone cooed over, the one who got extra hugs, extra gifts, extra everything. When I brought home a B+ on my report card, my mom would sigh and tell me I needed to do better. When Lauren brought home a B, she got ice cream and a proud smile. I used to tell myself I was imagining it, that I was just jealous, but deep down I knew the truth. My parents adored her in a way they never did me. Growing up, I had one dream: to go to college for graphic design. I spent hours sketching and learning programs on my beat-up old laptop. My dad even set up a savings account for me when I was 10, and every birthday, every holiday, some money would go into that account. I remember watching the balance grow, dreaming about the day I'd leave our small town behind and finally chase my future. But what I didn't know was that dream was never really mine. When I was 16, I started to notice Lauren getting special treatment that went beyond the usual favoritism. She got a brand new phone for her birthday, while I still had my cracked old one. She was taken shopping for prom dresses at fancy boutiques, while I wore a hand-me-down dress from a neighbor. I swallowed my feelings because that's what I always did. Then came the night everything changed. I was in my room studying for finals when I overheard my parents talking in the kitchen. Their voices were low, but I caught snippets. Lauren's tuition. Need the full amount by next month. Julia's fund has more than enough. We'll just... My heart stopped. I crept closer, pressing my ear to the doorframe. She'll understand, my mom said. She's not even using it right now, and Lauren has so much potential. Potential. That word felt like a knife in my chest. I burst into the kitchen, my voice shaking. You're talking about my college fund, aren't you? Carol's face went pale for a moment, but then she plastered on that calm, patronizing smile she always used when she thought I was being dramatic. Julia, honey, calm down. We're just reallocating resources. You can always take out loans later, but Lauren needs this now. She got accepted into Greenfield University. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that was supposed to be mine, I screamed, tears burning my eyes. You promised me that money was for my education. My dad, Thomas, crossed his arms. Don't raise your voice at your mother. This family needs to support Lauren right now. She's the one who can really make something of herself. It was like I'd been punched in the gut. I tried to fight. I begged. I even showed them the acceptance letter I'd gotten from a state college earlier that week. But they didn't care. Within days, the account I'd watched grow for over a decade was completely emptied, every cent funneled into Lauren's tuition. The following months were a blur of anger and heartbreak. Lauren went off to her fancy school, posting smiling pictures with her new friends while I stayed home, working 2 part-time jobs and attending community college classes at night because that was all I could afford. My best friend Mia was my rock during that time. She listened to me vent, reminded me that I wasn't crazy, that what my parents did was beyond cruel, but no amount of comfort could erase the betrayal I felt. Years passed. I worked myself to the bone, clawing my way through classes, internships, anything to get ahead, and slowly, painfully, I built a life for myself, A small apartment, a decent job, a few clients who believed in my design skills. Then, one crisp autumn afternoon, I got a phone call that sent me spiraling right back into that old hurt. It was Lauren. Her voice was syrupy sweet. "Hey, Jules. Guess what? Jake and I are engaged." I forced a polite congratulations, though my stomach churned. "And," she continued, drawing out the word, "I want you to be my maid of honor. Isn't that exciting?" I was silent for a beat, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. She took my silence as hesitation. "Come on, Jules, it'll be fun. You're my sister. It would mean the world to me." That was the moment something inside me broke. They stole my future, my dreams, my chance at a better life. And now, they wanted me to stand beside her, smiling, while she celebrated everything I'd never had. I swallowed my rage and said softly, "Of course, Lauren. I'd be honored." Because in that moment, my revenge plan began to take shape. When I hung up the phone, I sat in silence for a long time. My tiny apartment felt colder than usual, the hum of the old fridge filling the emptiness around me. My mind spun in circles, every memory of betrayal rushing back like a tidal wave. I thought of the nights I stayed up late studying by the light of a single lamp while Lauren partied at her expensive university. I thought of the countless times I'd had to skip meals to pay for textbooks while she bragged about shopping trips and vacations on social media. I thought of my parents, smiling proudly in every picture beside her, like I didn't even exist. Now they wanted me to be her maid of honor. I wanted to scream. Instead, I forced myself to breathe and started thinking strategically. Revenge wasn't just about anger. It was about patience, precision, and timing. Lauren had no idea what I was truly capable of. Over the past few years, while working my way through college and building a career, I'd also learned a lot about event planning, contracts, and most importantly, manipulation. If they wanted me to be part of this wedding, I'd give them a performance they'd never forget. The next day, I met up with Mia at a cozy little coffee shop downtown. She was the one person I trusted completely, the only one who knew just how deep my pain ran. When I told her about Lauren's call, her jaw dropped. "Wait, let me get this straight," she said, setting down her latte with a sharp clink. "Your parents stole your college fund, gave it all to Lauren, and now she wants you to be her maid of honor. Like, happily stand there and clap for her?" "Exactly," I said bitterly, stirring my coffee even though I had no intention of drinking it. Mia leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "So what are you gonna do? Please tell me you're not actually going to just go along with it." I gave her a slow, deliberate smile. "Oh, I'm going along with it, but not the way they think." Her expression shifted from confusion to intrigue. "Julia, what are you planning?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I pulled a small notebook from my bag and slid it across the table. Inside were scribbles, lists, and sketches, the beginnings of my revenge plan. Mia flipped through the pages, her eyes widening. "Oh my God, you've been thinking about this for a while, haven't you?" "Ever since they took everything from me," I admitted. "But now I finally have the perfect stage. Weddings are all about appearances, about keeping up this perfect image. If I play my cards right, I can take everything they care about and turn it against them." Mia grinned, clearly impressed. "Okay, villain origin story. I'm in. What's step 1? "Step 1, I said, is gaining their trust." Over the next few weeks, I played the part of the dutiful sister. I called Lauren regularly, gushing about how excited I was for the wedding. I offered to help with planning, to handle the little details so she wouldn't be stressed. She ate it up. Lauren had always loved being the center of attention, but she also hated doing actual work. Within days, she handed me almost full control of the planning process. "This is perfect," she said during one of our calls, her voice airy and carefree. "You've always been so responsible, Jules. I just want to focus on looking amazing and having fun, you know?" I smiled tightly, knowing she couldn't see me. "Of course, Lauren. Leave everything to me." Meanwhile, my parents were just as oblivious. Carol would call me to gush about floral arrangements or caterers, completely unaware that every suggestion I made was calculated. Thomas, as usual, didn't care about the details. His only contribution was writing checks whenever Lauren asked for them. I played my role perfectly. Sweet, helpful, endlessly supportive. But beneath the surface, I was carefully setting traps. One evening, I met with Lauren and Jake to finalize some decisions. They'd chosen a lavish venue just outside the city, complete with a ballroom, fountains, and gardens, the kind of place you'd expect to see in a movie. As we walked through the space, Lauren twirled in the middle of the empty ballroom, her engagement ring glittering under the chandeliers. "Isn't it just perfect?" she gushed. "It's stunning," I admitted, forcing a smile. Jake seemed nice enough on the surface, polite, handsome, a little bland. But there was something about him that didn't sit right with me. The way his eyes lingered on other women a beat too long, the subtle condescension in his tone when he spoke to me, like I was some hired help instead of his future sister-in-law. I filed that feeling away for later. During the meeting, Lauren casually mentioned the budget. "So, Mom and Dad are covering most of it, obviously. Jake's parents are pitching in a bit. And, well, I figured you could handle some of the smaller things, right, Jules? Like maybe the bachelorette party or bridesmaid gifts?" I wanted to laugh in her face. Instead, I said sweetly, "Of course, whatever you need." Inside, my rage burned hotter. They hadn't just stolen my future. They expected me to keep giving, to keep sacrificing as if I owed them something. That night, I called Mia and vented while pacing my apartment. "Can you believe this?" I fumed. "They're throwing a wedding that costs more than my entire education, and they want me to chip in? Me, the person they screwed over," Mia snorted. "Oh, honey, they have no idea what's coming, do they?" A slow, wicked smile spread across my face. "No, but they will, because I just figured out how to make this even better." The next phase of my plan required digging into Jake's background. Something about him felt off, and if there was dirt to be found, I was going to find it. I started with social media, old photos, tagged posts, anything that gave me insight into his past. At first, it was all normal. Vacation pictures, college parties, boring work events. But then I stumbled onto something interesting. A private account linked to one of his old usernames, filled with flirty comments from a woman who definitely wasn't Lauren. My heart raced as I screenshot every post. The deeper I dug, the more I found late-night messages, suspicious transactions on Venmo, even a hotel reservation that didn't match up with any of his supposed work trips. Jake wasn't just a little shady. He was cheating on Lauren, and now I had proof. My hands trembled as I stared at the evidence on my laptop screen. Message after message, each one a nail in the coffin of Lauren's perfect fairy tale wedding. Jake wasn't just a liar. He was a serial cheater. The woman in the messages was named Kayla, and from the tone of their conversations, this wasn't some one-off fling. This was an ongoing affair. She called him Babe and my Jake, complained about how little time he spent with her, and even mentioned how she couldn't wait until he told Lauren the truth. My lips curled into a bitter smile. "Oh, sweetheart," I muttered to myself. He's never going to tell her. But I will, in my own way. I didn't just want Lauren to find out. That would be too easy. I wanted to control the timing. I wanted the truth to detonate like a bomb at the exact moment it would hurt her and my parents the most. But first, I needed to be absolutely certain. The next weekend, Mia and I drove across town to a hotel Jake had supposedly stayed at for a business conference. I called ahead, pretending to be his assistant, and with a little charm and a tiny white lie, I confirmed the reservation. 2 guests under his name. Mia whistled low when I hung up. Wow. He didn't even try to hide it. "Nope," I said grimly, sliding my phone into my pocket. "This is perfect." On the drive back, Mia glanced at me nervously. "So, what's the plan, Jules? Are you going to tell Lauren now?" I shook my head. "Not yet. If I do it now, she'll just cry, cancel the wedding, and my parents will still walk away with their precious little angel intact. No. This has to happen when the most people are watching, when there's no way to sweep it under the rug." Mia's eyes widened. Oh my God, you're going to expose him at the wedding, aren't you? A slow, dark smile spread across my face. Oh, Mia. I'm going to destroy all of them at the wedding. From that day forward, I became the perfect maid of honor. I planned every detail with military precision. The bridal shower? A stunning event full of laughter and champagne. The bachelorette party? Wild enough to make Lauren feel like the star she believed she was. My parents were over the moon, constantly praising me for how helpful and supportive I was being. Even Lauren seemed to drop her usual condescending tone when she spoke to me. This wedding is going to be perfect, she gushed one afternoon as we tried on dresses. And it's all thanks to you, Jules. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do without you. I smiled sweetly and adjusted the sash on her dress. Anything for you, Lauren. You deserve it. But inside, my heart was ice. Every compliment, every grateful look was just another layer of satisfaction building toward the day I'd finally rip the mask off. One afternoon, while my parents were at a tasting with the caterer, I found myself alone with Jake. We were finalizing seating arrangements at their house, and the tension in the room was thick. Hey, Jewel, he said casually, leaning back in his chair. You've really been going above and beyond for this wedding. I appreciate it. The fake sincerity in his voice made my skin crawl. Of course, I said smoothly, not looking up from the seating chart. Lauren deserves the best, he chuckled. She really does. I mean, you've done more for this wedding than she has. Makes me wonder if maybe you should be the one getting married. I forced a laugh, though bile rose in my throat. Oh, I think I'll pass. Then his tone shifted, dropping into something low and suggestive. You know, you and I make a pretty good team. Maybe after the wedding we should hang out sometime. Just the two of us. My hand froze mid-pen stroke. Slowly, I lifted my eyes to his, masking the disgust swirling inside me. Jake, I said, my voice like silk. You're engaged to my sister. He smirked. Yeah, and she doesn't have to know. It took everything in me not to slap him across the face right then and there. Instead, I leaned in slightly, my expression unreadable. Careful, I said softly. You wouldn't want anyone to overhear something like that. He blinked, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Right, yeah, just kidding. But I saw the truth in his eyes. He wasn't kidding at all. That night, I added another page to my notebook. Jake wasn't just cheating. He was bold enough to hit on me, Lauren's own sister. This wasn't just leverage. This was dynamite. As the wedding day approached, everything clicked into place. I carefully curated every guest list, every vendor, every speech. I positioned people exactly where I wanted them, like chess pieces on a board. Meanwhile, I quietly collected every piece of evidence against Jake, screenshots, photos, even a recording of our little chat about hanging out. Mia helped me organize it into a neat digital package, stored on a secure drive only I could access. Julia, Mia said one evening as we sat surrounded by wine glasses and wedding binders. I have to ask, are you sure about this? Once you do it, there's no going back. Your parents, Lauren, the whole town. They'll all know. I met her gaze, my jaw set. Good, they need to know. They need to feel what I felt when they stole everything from me. Mia hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay, then let's make sure it's flawless. 2 days before the wedding, my parents invited me over for dinner. The house looked like something out of a magazine, filled with flowers and decorations for the rehearsal dinner the next night. Over the meal, Carol beamed at me. Julia, I just want to say how proud we are of you. You've been so selfless through all of this. We know it hasn't always been easy, but family comes first, right? I stared at her, my fork hovering above my plate. The audacity of that statement nearly made me laugh. Of course, I said sweetly. Family always comes first, Thomas nodded, clearly pleased. See, Carol? I told you Julia would come around. This wedding is going to be perfect thanks to her. I smiled and excused myself to the bathroom, where I locked the door and let out a shaky breath. Perfect, I whispered to my reflection. You have no idea what's coming. The night before the wedding, Mia came over to help me finalize the last piece of the plan. We sat cross-legged on my apartment floor, surrounded by laptops and wires. Everything's ready, Mia said, checking the final file. Once you hit play, there's no stopping it. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. This isn't just about Lauren, I said quietly. This is for every time they told me I wasn't good enough, for every dream they crushed, for every tear I cried while they celebrated her. Mia squeezed my hand. Then let's end this. I took a deep breath, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Tomorrow, it would all come crashing down. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and warm, sunlight streaming through my blinds as if mocking me. For everyone else, it was a day of joy and celebration. For me, it was the day I'd been planning for months, the day I would finally take back everything that had been stolen from me. I got dressed carefully, choosing a sleek, understated bridesmaid dress. My makeup was flawless, my hair perfectly styled. If anyone looked at me today, they'd see nothing but a supportive, loving sister. Inside, though, I was a storm barely contained. When I arrived at the venue, the place was already buzzing with activity. Florists rushed back and forth with armfuls of roses. The catering team set up tables draped in shimmering white linens. Guests in their finest clothes milled about, laughing and taking photos. Lauren was in the bridal suite, surrounded by her bridesmaids. She
looked like a princess in her custom gown, ivory silk, delicate lace, and a train so long it required 2 people to carry it. "Julia!" She squealed when she saw me, rushing over to hug me. "Oh my God, can you believe it? Today's the day." I hugged her back, keeping my smile warm and genuine. "You look incredible, Lauren." She twirled in front of the mirror, practically glowing. "I know, right? Jake is going to lose his mind when he sees me." I almost laughed at the irony of that statement, but I bit it back. "He's a lucky guy," I said instead, the words tasting like ash on my tongue. The hours flew by in a blur of preparation. Guests arrived and were ushered into the breathtaking outdoor garden where the ceremony would be held. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and my parents were floating around like royalty, basking in the glow of Lauren's big day. Thomas looked particularly smug, shaking hands and bragging to anyone who would listen about how much money they'd spent on the event. Carol was fussing over Lauren like she was made of glass, adjusting her veil every 5 seconds and cooing over her. I stayed quiet, calm, and observant, a shadow on the edge of the perfect picture. As the ceremony began, I took my place beside Lauren at the altar. She was radiant, beaming at Jake as he recited his vows. The crowd sighed and dabbed at their eyes, completely enraptured by the fairy tale unfolding before them. "Enjoy this moment," I thought, my gaze fixed on Lauren's glowing face. "Because it's the last time you'll ever feel this happy." When it was time for my maid of honor speech, I stepped up to the microphone with a bright, practiced smile. The crowd applauded, and Lauren gave me an encouraging thumbs up. "Good evening, everyone," I began, my voice clear and steady. "First, I just want to thank you all for being here to celebrate Lauren and Jake's love story. It's truly a beautiful thing." There were warm murmurs of agreement. I let the silence stretch for a moment before continuing. "I've known Lauren my entire life, obviously, and I've seen her grow into the amazing woman she is today. And Jake, well, we've all come to know and love him too." Lauren beamed at me, completely oblivious to the venom lurking beneath my words. "But," I said, my tone shifting ever so slightly, "sometimes love stories aren't exactly what they seem." A ripple of confusion moved through the crowd. Lauren's smile faltered, just a fraction. "Marriage is about trust," I continued, pacing slowly across the stage. "It's about honesty, about knowing that the person standing beside you is truly committed to you. And only you." My parents exchanged nervous glances. Jake shifted uncomfortably, his hands twitching at his sides. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding. So today, I thought it would be meaningful to share some memories. Some moments that really show who Lauren and Jake are as a couple. The lights dimmed slightly, Mia's cue from the back of the room. A large screen behind me flickered to life, showing a montage of sweet photos of Lauren and Jake, vacations, date nights, smiling selfies. The crowd let out an appreciative "aw," then, seamlessly, the photos shifted. The next image was of Jake, shirtless in a hotel room, with Kayla. Gasps filled the air. Before anyone could react, Messages began to flash across the screen. Flirty texts, explicit exchanges, even the receipt from the hotel stay Mia and I had confirmed. Lauren's hands flew to her mouth. "What is this?" Jake lunged forward. "Turn it off. Turn it off right now." I held up a hand, my voice cutting through the chaos. "Oh, we're just getting started." The next clip played, the recording of Jake hitting on me during the seating arrangement meeting. Maybe after the wedding we should hang out sometime. Just the two of us. The audio was crystal clear. Gasps turned into shocked cries. Lauren stumbled back, her face pale. "Jake, you said I was kidding," he shouted, wild-eyed. "Lauren, you know I love you. This is all fake." I turned to him, my smile cold and sharp. "Really?" Because it sounded pretty real to me. The crowd erupted into chaos. Lauren's friends rushed to her side, some glaring daggers at Jake, others whispering furiously. Guests were standing now, phones out, recording every second. Thomas stormed toward me, his face red with rage. "Julia, what the hell do you think you're doing? You're ruining everything." I whirled on him, years of pent-up fury boiling over. "Ruining everything? You ruined everything when you stole my future and handed it to her like a gift. You took my college fund, my dreams, and left me to rot while you worshipped at the altar of your golden child." Carol's voice trembled. "Julia, please, not here, not here," I snapped. "Why not here? Why not let everyone see what this family really is?" I gestured wildly at the screen, which now displayed a timeline of financial records, showing how my college fund had been drained for Lauren's education. Gasps echoed through the room again as people pieced together the full picture. "You didn't just steal my money," I spat, tears streaming down my face. "You stole me, my chance at a life. And now you wanted me to stand here and smile while she lived happily ever after?" "No, not this time." Lauren collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Jake tried to reach for her, but she shoved him away with a scream. "Don't touch me. You liar. Lauren, baby, please, get out," she shrieked. "Get out of my sight." Jake's face twisted in anger. Fine. You think you're better than me? Have fun paying for all this crap without me." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. For a moment, there was stunned silence. Then, slowly, people began to whisper. Some looked at my parents with disgust. Others recorded videos, already posting them online. Carol sank into a chair, white as a ghost. Thomas just stood there, trembling with rage and humiliation. I turned back to the microphone, my voice calm now, almost eerily so. "This wedding isn't happening. But I hope everyone enjoyed the show." Because I certainly did. With that, I dropped the mic and walked out, Mia right behind me. Outside, the cool evening air hit my face like freedom. "Julia," Mia said breathlessly, clutching my arm. You actually did it. You blew up the entire wedding." I exhaled slowly, a smile tugging at my lips. "Oh, Mia, this is only the beginning." The cool night air felt electric against my skin as I stood outside the wreckage of what was supposed to be Lauren's perfect day. Behind me, the venue buzzed with chaos, shouting guests, crying bridesmaids, and the muffled wail of my mother. I didn't look back. Mia stood beside me, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched her phone. She'd recorded everything from inside the venue. "Just as we planned, it's already blowing up online," she said, showing me the screen. Videos of Jake's betrayal and my parents' theft were spreading like wildfire on social media. Comments flooded in, some sympathetic, others horrified. "Oh my God, this is insane," one read. "Team Julia forever," said another. And my personal favorite, "Imagine stealing your kid's college fund and then asking her to plan a wedding." Couldn't be me. I allowed myself a small, satisfied laugh. Good. Let the world see who they really are. Back inside, the fallout was reaching nuclear levels. By the time I returned home that night, my phone was buzzing with messages. Half were from numbers I didn't recognize, journalists, extended family members, even strangers demanding to know the full story. The other half were from my parents and Lauren. Carol left frantic voicemails, her voice raw from crying. "Julia, please call me back. We can fix this. You didn't have to humiliate us like that." Thomas's messages were colder, angrier. "You've disgraced this family. You'll regret this." Lauren's texts were a mix of heartbreak and rage. "I can't believe you would do this to me. You ruined my life." I didn't respond to any of them. For the first time in my life, I had the power. and I wasn't giving it back. The next few days were a blur. News of the disastrous wedding spread through our small town like wildfire. People whispered in grocery store aisles, at church, at school events. My parents couldn't go anywhere without facing judgmental stares and pointed comments. The vendors demanded payment, and with Jake gone, the financial burden fell squarely on Carol and Thomas. Tens of thousands of dollars, all gone in a single night. Even worse for them, their carefully crafted image of the perfect family was shattered beyond repair. Lauren tried to stay quiet at first, but then screenshots of her texts surfaced, messages where she mocked me for working 2 jobs, bragged about how dumb I was for never questioning the college fund theft, and gloated about how she was the favorite child, always will be. When those hit social media, the tide turned fully against her. Friends distanced themselves. Strangers flooded her accounts with harsh comments. Even some of her bridesmaids publicly cut ties. Mia and I watched it all unfold from my apartment, sipping coffee like we were watching a movie. "This is wild," Mia said, shaking her head. "You didn't just get revenge, Julia. You obliterated them." I smiled faintly, though there was a heaviness in my chest. They deserved it. Every single second of this. 2 weeks later, I agreed to meet my parents in a public park. I wanted neutral ground, somewhere they couldn't corner me. They arrived looking haggard and broken. Carol's usually flawless hair was a mess, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. Thomas seemed smaller somehow, his usual bluster gone. "Julia," Carol began, reaching for my hand. "Please, we need to talk." I stepped back, my expression cold. "Talk? You mean like how you talked to me when you stole my college fund? Or when you told me Lauren deserved everything and I deserved nothing?" Her face crumpled. "We were wrong. We see that now. But you didn't have to humiliate us like that. You ruined Lauren's future." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "You ruined my future first. I just returned the favor." Thomas clenched his fists. "We're still your parents. Family sticks together." "Family?" I spat, my voice rising. "You made it clear a long time ago that I wasn't really part of this family unless I was useful to Lauren." "Well, guess what? I'm done being useful." Their mouths opened and closed, but no words came out. I turned to leave, then paused and glanced over my shoulder. "Oh, by the way, I blocked both of you on everything. Don't bother trying to contact me again." Then I walked away, my head high, leaving them standing in the cold wind. As for Lauren, she moved back home temporarily, though her relationship with Carol and Thomas was strained at best. Jake had vanished completely, deleting his social media and skipping town to avoid the fallout. The last I heard, Lauren was working at a small local boutique, a far cry from the glamorous life she'd once flaunted online. I didn't feel sorry for her. Not even a little. Over the next year, my own life blossomed. With the money I'd saved and the new freelance clients who'd found me after my story went viral, I was able to start my own design business. It was small at first, but it was mine, built from my own hard work, not handed to me by anyone else. Mia and I celebrated my first big client by opening a bottle of champagne in my new office. "You really turned it all around," Mia said, clinking her glass against mine. "I'm proud of you, Jules." I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest that I hadn't felt in years. "Thanks, Mia, for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." She grinned. "Hey, I'm just glad I got a front row seat to the greatest revenge plot of all time." We laughed, the sound light and free. That night, as I sat alone in my apartment, I reflected on everything that had happened. I thought about the little girl who once believed her family loved her unconditionally, the teenager who watched her dreams get stolen, the young woman who clawed her way back from nothing. And I thought about the moment, standing on that wedding stage, when I finally took control of my own story. Sometimes revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about reclaiming the pieces of yourself that others tried to destroy. My family thought they could break me. Instead, they made me stronger. And as I closed my laptop and turned off the light, I realized something. I didn't just get revenge. I got my life back. In one night, Jake's betrayal was exposed, Lauren's perfect image shattered, and my parents were humiliated in front of everyone they knew. The financial ruin from the unpaid wedding, bills only added to their downfall. The golden child, They'd sacrificed me for ended up just as broken as the future they'd taken from me. And best of all, it was all their own doing. They handed me the stage, and I simply let the truth speak for itself. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't about striking back in anger. It's about showing the world who people truly are, and finally walking away free. My family thought they could erase me, but in the end, they erased themselves. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and subscribe for more epic revenge tales. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or experienced? I'd love to read your stories.